We're back again. Oh, look at that. It's myself, Gav Mack and Alex Osborn, and welcome to Two Up Top for the second time today. Yeah, that's what we do. Yeah, we're throwing out shows left, right and centre. How are you, dude?
I'm very well, thank you very much, mate. How are you?
Yeah, I'm all good, mate. I'm all good. We're going to be reviewing the Premier League games that have happened in the last couple of days, as well as the FA Cup games that we've just seen. And I think we should start with Newcastle United versus Manchester City. Manchester City 2-0 winners against Newcastle there. Goals from Kevin De Bruyne from the spot and Raheem Sterling as well. What were your thoughts on the game?
It was a 2-0 thrashing. Though Newcastle, the commentators wouldn't let you forget about it, had that glorious chance to equalise before they went up the other end and scored. But other than that, it was. What threw me off, right, was why did they do the draw for the semi-finals at half time? I that was strange to me.
Yeah, I've not seen that happen before. That's definitely a new one to me.
Especially when they did the draw and then Man City was pulled out of the hat, and I was like, hang on. Usually it's Man City / Newcastle, and I'm thinking, have I gone into some weird time zone here? Because I'll be honest with you, I had a little bit of a sleep between the end of the Chelsea game and this game, and I wasn't obviously fully paying attention or something, because I was like, have I just missed something here? Have I only caught the second half of this game? I mean, but yeah, that was aside of that, Man City were very comfortable, and I mean, I know they didn't beat Chelsea, but we kind of on Thursday. We kind of thought, because we questioned the team selection, didn't we, in that game a little bit? It's like, why didn't they start with a recognised striker? Made a couple of other changes as well. It's clear that they were like, well, we've got 2 trophies we can win left this season. Let's focus on those. We're going to finish in the top 4 anyway, because City will win. City will pick up enough points to guarantee them. Unlike another team we played today, where I was having a discussion where Leicester could potentially drop out of the top 5 with the way that other teams are chasing them and the way that they're falling off a cliff, basically. But going back to Man City, I think that they're gonna focus on winning the FA Cup and then the Champions League when it returns in August.
That was a new opportunity for Newcastle, really, wasn't it? Because at the end of the day, I know it's Man City that are playing against, but Newcastle haven't won a trophy since 1955. Do you really think that they should have gone a little bit more braver with their team selection? You know, they haven't really got that many injuries left now. They've sorted themselves out a little bit on that front.
Well, you've got to look who's manager. Steve Bruce has never been one to be over his career as a manager. He's always been more cautious than he has been enterprising, and that again reflected. He thought the best way for them to try and get a result there was to just nick one, scramble to save, scramble to defend, kind of like they've done already against Man City. I mean, they got that point, didn't they, earlier in the year? But the difference, obviously, then is that they had the home crowd behind them, and I think Newcastle are one of those teams where they benefit from having a home support there cheering them on, rather than some other teams who don't quite rely on that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, they could really do with having the fans there, but they're still not. They're a weird side. You know, they're one of the teams that actually touted to go down at the beginning of the season. They are safe now. They're just going to be that sort of safe side. They're never going to go anywhere. They're not going to go any higher than 10th. They're not going to get relegated anytime soon. I even think with their takeover, that nothing's really going to change there.
Well, we'll see what happens. We'll see.
I've got a feeling it's going to be very QPR.
It could be. It could very well be. But I think it all depends on A, how serious the owners are, and B, who they get in. A, not as just as manager, but all the positions just above manager. You know, we recognise that is becoming more and more important in today's game, isn't it? Because if you don't get those, director of football, your head of scouting, your financial director, all of these different positions. When you see like Liverpool have managed to get the right right people in the right positions, along with the manager, they all marry up with the same vision, and then you'll see what happens on the pitch as a result of that. It all depends on if Newcastle are able to get that right. I mean, Man City, another success story as well. Yeah, everyone's going to rightly point to the fact that they've spent a lot of money, but you mentioned QPR. They spent a lot of money, and look what happened with them. So they didn't get the right people in the right positions, and they didn't get the right managers in place, did they? So, just because you've got loads and loads of money doesn't guarantee the fact that you'll get better. So it'll all depend on that side of things for Newcastle. So, yeah.
Yeah, very true. Before I continue, though, is it possible for you to stick some headphones on?
Stick some headphones on?
Yeah, because I'm getting a lot of feedback coming back.
Okay. I don't have any headphones. I've got some headphones here, but they're wireless.
Oh, they should be fine. They should be fine.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll test those out. In the meantime, I'll get some information out about a couple of other games that happened today. First off, we will talk about Leicester. Leicester 0, Chelsea 1. Ross Barkley, the new Eden Hazard, as they were trying to call him on the commentary earlier on today. I was quite embarrassed by that. I mean, like Chelsea, they were the better side today, I must say. But at the same time, this is another opportunity, a bit like Newcastle, where Leicester could have gone on and done something here, and they haven't. I've heard a little stat as well that Brendan Rodgers hasn't beaten Chelsea ever in his managerial career. I think that's his 14th game against them.
Wow, didn't know that.
There you go. Oh no, it's mad, isn't it?
Yeah, that's so. He didn't beat. I suppose the most famous one for Brendan Rodgers would be the Liverpool game with the Gerrard slip, wouldn't he? That was, I suppose, that was the most infamous one. But I didn't realise that he still hadn't beaten him, regardless outside of that. So that's obviously taken into his account his time at Swansea as well. Yeah,
the whole time. It's it's crazy. Chelsea. They were the better side today, but it took a while for them to get going, I thought. And I think Leicester, the first 10, 15 minutes, they really went for it. And it's a shame that they couldn't pick up an early goal, because I think an early goal would have shook Chelsea a little bit. I think they would have come down off their high against Man City. But the longer the game was 0-0, the more Chelsea were able to grow into the game. There was one goal which was disallowed, unfortunately, from Tammy Abraham. He absolutely laced it with his left peg, but he didn't pay much attention to where he was along the line, and really and truly he was miles offside in the end, but he hit that so beautifully. I think he's almost a bit of a statement to say, don't forget about me next season.
That was a lovely finish. It's off with his wrong foot as well.
Left peg. Chocolate peg.
Yeah, lovely finish. Going on, just quickly touched on Ross Barkley there. He has the attribute. He's such a frustrating player because he has the attributes. He's got power, he's got pace, he's got strength. But he just makes the wrong decision time after time after time. I know he scored the goal today, but that was more a case of he found himself in the right position there due to his instincts as a player, and he finished it off beautifully. But there were 2, 3, maybe 4 breaks that Chelsea had where they were like 4-on-2. 4-on-4, 3-on-2, and he made the wrong pass. The pass that he did make was awful, and his running off the ball was not very good. It didn't give the player carrying the ball an angle to pass to him. It's so frustrating because you see what he can do, and you think, well, the age he is now and the experience that he has, because he's been around, how long he's been around? About 6, 7 seasons now. He shouldn't be still developing those kind of traits, which it doesn't really. I don't think he'll ever really. He'll get better. I don't know.
What angers me about Ross Barkley is that he always gets selected for England. And I don't know why.
Yeah.
Why he warrants the selection. However, when he plays for England, 9 times out of 10, he is in the top 3 or the best player for England at that time. So why can't he bring his England form to.
I don't agree with that. I don't think he's ever really.
I don't think it is. I can't recall him ever having a bad game for England. And we know what will happen with England. They'll play against Lithuania. They'll win 5-0. We're all like, oh yeah, England, we're going to win the World Cup. And we get to a World Cup or a Euros, and we lose to Iceland or we draw against Tunisia. You know, it's such an England thing. But he will always stand out amongst the better players in an England shirt.
I'll agree to disagree with that. I don't think I've never really seen him play that well for England or stand out to the level you say. But the reason why
he picks up the ball deep, he drives through people.
He has the physical attributes to do that. That's why he keeps getting picked, because managers have fallen in love with that type of player, and it's understandable. But he has to show that he can make the right decisions and execute it time after time for him to warrant those opportunities, and he doesn't do that.
We spoke before the game about Kovacic. Now, I'm a big fan of Mato Kovacic, and you're not.
Correct. So here's the thing. First of all, what does he do as a midfield player? He can dribble the ball a little bit. Yeah.
Good dribbler.
He can pass it off a little. He can pass it off.
Good pass.
But he never really takes any risks with his passing. He's not that good defensively. Chelsea have conceded a lot of goals. When he's played in the team, he doesn't really give his defense enough protection, and he doesn't score, and he doesn't get any assists either. So what does he do as a midfield player? And here's the other thing as well. Real Madrid are quite happy to let him go.
Hey, look, we've had this discussion before about anyone.
Is being let go by Real Madrid.
If you play for Real Madrid, Barcelona, Juve, PSG, well, not PSG, I'll take PSG out of that actually, Bayern Munich, if you're playing for any of those teams and someone of your same level isn't going for you, you're not good enough for that team. I'm not in any way saying that Kovacic is a world-class midfielder. He is not, right? But he is a very good midfielder. He's part of the gel that sorts that midfield out. You don't always have to score goals. You don't always have to assist when you're playing in midfield. You could do all the link-up play. He is part of every move that Chelsea score from. And with him, he's either whether it's just a little 5-yard sideways pass, or whether he's pinging a ball across field, or he's drawing a player out of position to create space for somebody else. He's a very clever midfielder, and I like him. I think he's a damn good midfielder. And you know, Chelsea, well, they've got him now, haven't they? They spent a lot of money on him. I don't think he warranted the money that they paid for him in the end. I think it's turned towards the 50 million mark. I wouldn't say is as much as that, even in today's market. But I think he's a good player. He's at his level, and Chelsea is a good level to be at.
Well, I disagree. I don't think he's anything special. There's quite a few midfielders I would rather have in my team personally that would do a better job than him. I certainly think so. Put it this way, Real Madrid were happy to let him go and keep aging Modric, who Modric doesn't score many goals.
Ballon d'Or winner Luka Modric.
Yeah, but you know he's in his 30s now, so he's not getting any better. He's only going to get worse. Kovacic is in his mid-20s, so he should be getting better. Yet Real Madrid were quite happy to let him go. So I don't see it with him, to be honest with you.
Yeah, well, I don't agree with you. One Real Madrid reject who did score today was Dani Ceballos in a 2-1 win for Arsenal over Sheffield United at Bramall Lane. The
nice
goals
segue.
came from... Oh, nice, isn't it? Oh, a mirror week. Pepe scored from the spot on 25 minutes. And then McGoldrick, he equalised on 87 minutes. And then Dani Ceballos popped up a couple of minutes later. But it didn't all look very plain sailing for Arsenal. Arsenal could have been behind from 7 minutes in. Luckily, it was ruled off for offside for Arsenal. Yeah,
Sheffield United scored a couple of offside goals from set pieces, and they did seem to carry a threat throughout most of the game from the set piece situation, especially with the long flat throws into McBurney, getting a winning. Yeah. He was pretty much winning every header. McBurney, wasn't he, today?
He's a good player.
But he's all right. He's good for what Sheffield United want to try and do.
He's like a really good Connor Wickham.
Yeah, he's very. Do you know what, Connor Wickham? I don't think he's as tall. It's not that Connor Wickham's really short. I just think McBurney, to me, just basing it off like memory, Connor Wickham. Ollie McBurney's a little bit more taller. He's a little bit thinner, I think.
I don't know whether McBurney's broader or it's just because he's got a big, strong beard game going on, which makes him appear a lot broader than he actually is. Hey, look, I'm without that. I don't do the beard game. But Sheffield United, I think they were unlucky today. The penalty. What were your thoughts on that? Do you think that should have been a penalty?
Yeah, I think it should have been a penalty. He's gone through the back of him without winning the ball, and it's poor defending. Basically,
if that's on the halfway line, it's a free kick. That's how I see it.
Yeah, I mean the only question was whether it was outside the penalty area or was not, because I know Lacazette's touch. I think he actually touched outside the area, but when the replay showed, he was standing inside the area, wasn't he, where the defender was as well. So I think that was the only potential decision they needed to make there, but it was a penalty, and I think the way that Arsenal played or set up today gets the best out of their players. I think moving forward, 3-4-3. Yeah, because it freed up Pepe a little bit, and as Pepe's going to be, and he needs to be, one of Arsenal's better players, they need to get the best out of him. And I thought he had a pretty decent game today. He looked dangerous. He looked threatening. He was taking his player on. He scored I know it was a penalty, but he scored his goal. He had another chance not soon after where he tested the keeper down low. It was a good save by Henderson.
Oh, yeah, that was a good save, yeah.
And he was making that lovely little run from out to in behind. And if there had been a couple of better passes from Maitland-Niles, from Joe Willett, who had released him, then he probably would have got another goal there as well. So I think that in mind, also if they're going to play David Luiz, we know he's a better defender in a three centre halves. He could be that player in the middle, and he can use the other two centre halves, because when David Luiz gets in trouble is when he gets dragged wide out on the pitch, when he has to defend wide. Look what happened obviously against Man City. The penalty came from when he was dragged out wide left. He had to go and face up. Who was it you brought down for that penalty? I can't remember who it was. Was it Mahrez? Was it? I think it was. And he got himself sent off. Remember the game against Liverpool earlier in the season for two of their goals. One where he got skinned out by the left touchline, and then where he pulled back Salah in the penalty area. Again, happened in wider positions. But when you put him central in a three, and he almost plays like that libero role that we so talk about, where he gets on the ball and he can dribble with it, and he can then, because we both know he's got a ping on him and he's a pretty decent passer, because he can stroke the ball for a central defender like no one else. Then that's when he was successful, and he did that when Conte, Chelsea's team, won the Premier League, won the title. He was central, and he was a central defender there in that three at the back, wasn't he?
Yeah, and also I really like the idea. If we haven't got the money, say I'm talking about Arsenal, so I'm wearing my Palermo shirt, as you can all see. When I talk about the Arsenal and not having anything like beefy in the middle of the park, Shaq had another great game today. David Luiz can do that job, and I remember probably about eight or 9 years ago when I used to live, because I've lived all over the place, but when I was originally in Northampton before, and I was with my old housemate, and me and him, we used to sit there and watch Chelsea and be like, do you know what? He's good, but he's a bit of a liability. We're going back 8 or 9 years ago here, and it's like, do you know where he would be good? Defensive central mid. That's where he will be good. He would be able to. He's got cover behind him. If Arsenal play a back four, play him just in front of it.
Yeah.
In that sort of libero type of position.
Exactly. That was it. The Franz Beckenbauer, Matthias Sammer. Those type of players.
For the record, we are not saying that David Luiz is on the same path as Matthias Sammer.
That's the type of position role that he should be given, because that suits his skills the best. Just also a quick shout out to Kieran Tierney. I really like him. Do you know what? He reminds me of a player like from that played in the Prem in the 90s. He just seems like a good, honest pro who's actually, I just like the way that when he gets the ball, if he's got a bit of space, he wants to get past his man and whipping across. And here's the other thing: his delivery's good. It's always dangerous. It's always in the right areas. Whether it finds a player or not is not a matter. It's he puts them into dangerous areas, and he found Pepe with a pullback where he put just wide, and there was another couple of where he fizzed across at the defender just to got in front of the attacker. So I think he actually got man of the match in the end, Kieran Tierney. So I certainly thought he had a very good game today, and him and Saka had a nice little partnership going down that left hand side.
Very true, very true. There's a little comment here from Sean Munro. Sean Munro, former pal of the old Mal coach. He's not in Northampton anymore, but he misses us both. Oh, we miss you too, Shawnee. We miss you too, son. Yesterday, we were talking about Buendia and Willock and who was better. You are not a big fan of Buendia. I find that horribly disgusting. I'm a big fan of Buendia, and we did a poll on Twitter, and I put it out and I said on our page at Top Football on all social media, if you didn't know already, who'd rather have in your team, Joe Willock or Buendia? And 75% of people said Buendia. Talking of Buendia, Norwich 1, Manchester United 2. This is a game from yesterday in the FA Cup. That was a tough game in the end for United. I think they made it hard for themselves. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was mainly down to their team selection. But as we've seen this weekend, because the games have been coming thick and fast, there's been rotation being thrown in. Whereas Man City have gone the route of, we'll focus on the FA Cup because we're comfortable in the fact that we're going to qualify for the Champions League, even though technically at the moment, we don't know if they're going to be in the Champions League next year. At the moment, we believe that they're not going to be due to their ban. But other teams like Manchester United, Arsenal, Chelsea, Norwich, Leicester have had to do a little bit of rotation because this is the fourth. Well, for some teams, it's their fourth game in 2 weeks, isn't it? So that's a game every 3-4 days. So they had to do a little bit of rotation. And Manchester United, I think we both agree. I think we've said this already. I think we said it in yesterday's show, didn't we? That the team that they played against Sheffield United, with all the players in those positions, especially their midfield. I think Manchester United's key is their midfield, right? And that you could say that a lot about a lot of teams, but especially for Manchester United, because if they get those positions right, the players in the right roles, it just unlocks them, and it unlocks their strikers with Martial, Rashford. It's able to get them the ball into them quicker, into more space, so they can do more damage. And yesterday, when you've got players like Lingard, Mata, in the middle midfield, McTominay didn't have the best of games, but he was.
Which is a shame, because we know we all like McTominay on this show, but he wasn't with it, was he?
Fred as well. Fred didn't also have the best of games, and it just looked laboured. And Norwich were able to deal comfortably with what Manchester United were able to throw at them. When United did make those changes, and they were then brought on Pogba, who was then sort of playing similar to like he did against Sheffield United. You noticed the difference. Manchester United stepped up. They didn't let Norwich get out. I know they took it. It was what, a couple of minutes before the end of extra time before Maguire did actually score, but they did have what I thought 2 or 3 other really good chances before then to actually get a winner. But Norwich did well. Bearing
in mind, Norwich were down to 10 men, and they spent the whole of extra time down to 10 men. The equaliser, the first goal was from Igalo, and I thought he took that really well. I thought he was going to be an absolute flop at United, but it's proven that he's done all right. The equaliser came from Todd Cantwell. Now, I thought it was a really good strike. And a lot of people are slating Romero a little bit.
I felt like he could have done better. But maybe he was a little bit unsighted because he looked on a replay. this happens sometimes. You don't know when a replay slows it down. You think, how the hell did the ball get through there? But it just kind of came through one side of Fred and the other side of Maguire, and then it just came out of nowhere.
And it was kind of away from him as well.
It was kind of fading away from him, but I still would have liked to have seen him done better there. But it was a good strike. Don't take nothing away from the strike from Cantwell. So yeah, fair play to him.
Yeah, Tim Closer, he got himself sent off just before the end of 90 minutes.
That was
all day, innit?
That was a red card, yeah.
Do you think the referee was pretty brave playing advantage in that situation? Because there was a foul just like literally 2 yards and 3 or 4 seconds before that actually happened.
On Fernandes?
Yeah.
Because it was Fernandes who flicked it on straight away, wasn't it? And by the way, can we just say about Fernandes, right? Again, but...
You got any Kleenex, mate?
Yeah. No, sorry. I'm
more out from yesterday.
I'll be able to keep it PG. No, here's the thing. With Fernandes, I've not really noticed a player who is able to flick it first time like that with the side of his foot, whether he does a little Cruyff flick, any type of flick where it'll be into a teammate's path all the time. You know, when some players do it and they just do it and it goes like straight to a defender or it goes out of play. I've not seen him do that. He just seems to do it every single time. And he's as if he's got a calculus or a compass or something in his head which like works out the angles like some sort of computer, and it's like, if I touch it like this, it's going to go into there, and it's like it's an incredible ability. As for your question, I kind of thought that the referee didn't really have enough time to react to the first foul, and then he saw the second foul, and he's like, well, okay, we'll go with the second foul because
it's more of an advantageous position.
Yeah.
That's double check to see whether it's inside the box or outside the box. Who's correct decision?
I think it was just outside. I think it was just outside, wasn't it?
And 100% a red card all day.
Oh, yeah.
He's not made any attempt to win the ball.
Well, if he doesn't do that, Martial's on goal. He's
exactly.
Goal, isn't he?
It's a clear and obvious goal scoring opportunity. So therefore, it had to result in that.
I think I've got an apology for you as well. Looking back on it, I've got an apology for you because I know when we discussed about the please don't be shocked. I'm big enough to know that I when I make a mistake, I said about the David Luiz red card against Man City being harsh, if you remember. And looking back on it, it's very similar to what happened with this Tim Closer. The only reason why I didn't think the David Luiz card wasn't a red card was because it was coming in at an angle, but this one was like dead centre. So I thought with the positions of where they happened, that's why it was unlucky for Luiz to get the red card. But
I was a referee for 10 years. You know, I know me stuff. But to be fair, I you know what, Alex? Apology accepted. You know, because I like you. You're a good guy. But to be fair, the reason why that was a red rather than a yellow is because he didn't make any genuine attempt to get the ball. If he'd have gone in and attempted to get the ball and was unlucky on it, that's where the double jeopardy comes in. You get the yellow card, you give away a penalty, but he's not made any attempt. The one against Chelsea, that was harsh for me. I think that shouldn't have been a red card. That was earlier on this season around Christmas time. That for me wasn't a red. He's made a genuine attempt to get the ball, and he was just a little bit late. One against Man City, no chance. The FA Cup draw has been done. That's the FA Cup semi-final draw. I haven't put the dates of when that's going to be in, but that's going to be played on the weekend of the 11th of July. So the 11th and the 12th. You've got Manchester United versus Chelsea, and then
both of them at Wembley.
Yeah,
they're both being played at Wembley, aren't they?
I'll tell you what. Let's amend that. I can amend that because Newcastle haven't got through, and they are both going to be at Wembley, and I don't understand why. There you go.
Well, here's the thing: where are they going to play? Where would they play? Are you saying that they should be played because both of them are Manchester versus a London club? So where are they going to play?
Villa Park. Back in the day, just go old school, man. Let's get that Villa Park stuff going on. Remember, all FA Cup semi-finals were Villa Park and Old Trafford. That's how they used to do it. These two
used to do it at Hillsborough as well.
They used to do it at Hillsborough as well. You know, all those middle, you know, just give them a little bit of leeway there. I just think, yeah.
Unless
having a semi-final at Wembley, I just think takes away the whole shine of the final spectacle.
It does. It does. Unless Wembley have agreed a contract with the FA, which means
of course they have because they spent.
That's it then.
950 quadruple million pounds on that stadium when they could have used that money, as we were talking about the other day, and invested that into grassroots football, and they chose not to. You look at we're going back over old ground, but I'm on one now. Look at the German model. Look at the Dutch model. I know Dutch football has fallen off a little bit in the last few years, but they had that model there from the 70s, and that's why they were so good. They didn't win many things, but they were always there in a semi-final or a final every single tournament, and they ended up winning Euro 88. And, they were always there because they're bloody good at looking after the infrastructure of their clubs, of the grassroots football. Build some, nowadays, build some more 4G pitches, cut the price.
Invest in coaches.
Cut the price by that, because like a UEFA badge, I know a couple of people that are doing UEFA badges and stuff, and they've paid a lot of money for their time. It's like a couple of grand here. It's like 300 quid abroad.
Exactly, yeah. It seems like if you're not an ex-professional football player, they make it really hard for people who want to get into the game, into a coaching side, really hard and expensive to do so. So definitely, I agree. Just obviously with that, if their contract doesn't exist, which it obviously does, then that means that they've got to play those games at Wembley, because that's obviously stipulation of the contract they've got in place. Which, well, we all know that the governing bodies at all national sports in this country, whether it be football, cricket, rugby, whatever, it's all about money. Money at the end of the day talks. That's all they see. They don't really care about grassroots football.
The thing is, it's a bit like the Arsenal situation. Spend money to make money. If you invest in that, think of the bigger game when England are making it to every semi-final and final and winning a World Cup or winning a Euros. Or for the English clubs that are in Europe, go out there and win the Champions League. That's going to generate more money and more revenue. So they're not really thinking about the bigger picture. They're thinking too much for now, I think.
Here's the thing as well about the cricket. It's like the ECB should have loved it when England won the World Cup last year, because how many young kids could that have inspired to go, do you know what?
It did.
I want to become the next Ben Stokes.
You go to a random park, you go to down to Hackney Marshes, or you go to Abington Park in Northamptonshire, or you go to like the Downs and stuff. You're seeing kids, instead of kicking the ball around, they're with a bat and a ball. So that inspired the nation to get into that sport. But what do we know? We're just a couple of podcasters from Northampton. There's a couple of Premier League games that happened this weekend as well. Aston Villa 0, Wolverhampton Wanderers 1. Goal came from Dendoncker just after the hour mark. Wolves are just too good.
Yeah, and it seems like it seems that the Wolves' tactic right now is we'll keep things tight in the first half. We'll keep it a bit. We'll be a bit cagey. If we can nick a goal, great. If not, that's fine. We're quite solid at the back. We're quite solid with our system. We feel comfortable. We've got a good goalkeeper. We've got some good midfielders. We've got some solid centre backs, if not spectacular. They're very solid though. And then when it gets to the second half, we'll unleash Adama Traore on the opposition, who, when he comes on, is this physical specimen, and he's starting to combine it now, and you can tell he's playing with confidence, because look at the way he's able to receive the ball in tight spaces now, and he's able to, with a nice little shimmy of the ball, a nice step over here, some nice close control, he's able to get himself out of tight positions, lay the ball off to other players, put them in good positions, get in good crosses, and that's what happened with the goal. He found himself, actually. It's really weird that he was in the centre forward position and Raul Jimenez was out wide, because Adama Traore picked it up from, it might have been Dendoncker who put the ball into him originally. He did what I said there, kind of like a little shimmy, which bought himself a bit of time, played it out to Raul Jimenez, who was on the left, I think. And Dendoncker then carried on his run. And Raul Jimenez played in a lovely ball into the middle, didn't he? I think it was it to Johnny, maybe, who found himself there? And then Dendoncker sorted his feet out. Love it. It was a very good, that was a good finish as well, because I think that was from his wrong peg as well. I think he's right-footed.
It's funny because what's been happening in the Bundesliga. I was doing the Bundesliga show with Flo Wolfram from Bayer Leverkusen this morning, and there was the amount of goals in the Bundesliga this weekend that were cutbacks. It was like, get down to the byline, cut it back, first time finish, bosh. There was about 8 or 9 goals that were like that. And this weekend in England, it's been, I'm going to hit it with me crap peg. That's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to score. And it's happened so many times this weekend.
Yeah.
Madness.
Yeah.
I like Dendoncker. Good player.
I think, he's solid. He's a solid player. And what he does is allow players like your Neves, your Diogo Jota, Raul Jimenez, Traore when he comes on to not have to worry so much about your defensive aspects, your defensive duties. Not saying that they don't. That means they shirk them. It just means that he allows them the space to be a little bit more adventurous. Because I think Wolves and Nuno Espirito Santo are naturally a little bit more cautious, as in we'll keep tight. Because I think that's formed from when Santo was he played under Jose, didn't he, from Porto? I think he's quite heavily influenced by that. And as I say, when then they can bring on Traore against tiring legs, and he can cause all kinds of mayhem. And what is that, the fourth game now where this has happened since Wolves have come back? They've kept it really close in the first half, and then in the second half they just needed 1 goal. 2. I think there's only 1 game where they've scored 2, but they've not conceded, I don't think, yet, Wolves.
But they look comfortable. That's the thing.
Yes, that's
when
it.
you see the results, you don't think, okay, might be that was a tight affair. They only won 1-0. No, it's they're battering teams 1-0, 2-0. You know what I mean?
That's what Chelsea were doing when Mourinho in his first stint at Chelsea. That's what they were doing every week, weren't they? They were winning 1-0, 2-0, but it was comfortable 1-0s and 2-0s. It wasn't really close like the scoreline might suggest. But that was what was happening.
And they don't really look phased at all at the back, do they, Wolves?
No, they're playing with a lot of confidence right now. It's going to take a very good team to stop them. And I think that they potentially, along with Manchester United and Chelsea, they could potentially overtake Leicester. Leicester have got to get their act together.
They have to. They've only got 2 wins since December.
Exactly. Yeah, they've got to get their act together because all 3 of those teams are in form. Their players are playing well. Their managers seem to be understanding of their team and their squad and how to get the best out of them. Whereas Rodgers kind of looks a little bit lost at the moment, as in, if Jamie Vardy's not going to score, who's going to score? Who's going to score for my team? And Vardy scored in 1 game in like 11, 12 games or something, 13 games, his previous 13 games.
And it's still up there. Was one of the top goal scorers.
Well, he's top goal scorer for the Prem,
yeah. It goes to show like how good Leicester were in the first half of the season.
Yeah, and how much form he was in.
Yeah. Well, we were thinking, no, they can't do it again, can they? And it weren't until they played against Liverpool and Man City that had their bellies tickled good and proper, didn't they?
Well, do you know what? I think it's since those 2 games, really, they've kind of been, whether their confidence has just got completely destroyed from those 2 results, because that's when their sort of poor form seems to have coincided with, haven't they? They haven't really won many games since then. So whether it's because teams were watching that game and how, I know it's always difficult to try and replicate what Liverpool and Man City do because you need the players to do so, but teams can kind of work out how they played against them and obviously replicate that, and Leicester have struggled since. So I think it's a combination of all of those factors, and I think Brendan Rodgers kind of needs to work out how to get the best out of his team, or try and work out how he can get other players in good positions to score, rather than just relying on Jamie Vardy. It didn't help that James Maddison didn't play today, of course.
It didn't help. I think the thing with Brendan Rodgers for me, when they're winning, and when his teams are winning, they are brilliant. But as soon as they lose a couple of games, he hasn't got the strength and the mentality to turn them around and be like, right, okay, don't worry about that game. Let's pick you back up and let's go for it again.
He's a very good
teams, they
winning
once
manager,
they lose,
isn't he?
He's a winning manager, yeah. But doesn't know how to handle things when they're losing.
Adversity,
and one game that they lost early on this season was against Southampton at home. After smashing them 9-0 away, they lost 2-1 at home, and Southampton won again today. 3-1
Another
winners.
good transition. I see what you've done there.
I'm all week, mate. I swear to God.
Well, we love Hasenhüttl, don't we? We
love
both
Hasenhüttl,
like
and I always laugh at Watford. I can't help it. Watford 1, Southampton 3. Goals from Danny Ings, mad tings from Danny Ings. Bag 2. Ward-Prowse, another epic free kick that we've seen. We've seen 3 in the last week. Now, which one do you rank? In what position? You've got Trent's against Palace. You've got KDB's against Chelsea's. And then this
favourite.
one.
KDB's is my favourite.
See, I really like this one as well because, I like them all. All.
Yeah.
It's almost like that debate. Who's better, Scholes, Gerrard, or Lampard? Everyone knows it's Frank Lampard. But the Ward-Prowse free kick, the wall has jumped and is quite close to goal. I think that's why I prefer this one because of how close he is to goal. When you're normally that near, it's so difficult to get it over the wall and get it to dip down
again. Yeah,
but it's so close. He's got it over the wall
as well.
with enough power, and he's done all that. Do you know that's only his sixth direct free kick that he scored in the Premier League? I feel like he scores loads.
Yeah, do you know another player who scored? Who I seem to remember scored loads of free kicks, but probably didn't score as many. Do you remember Seb Larsson?
David Beckham. Sorry.
David Beckham. No, David Beckham. I swear he scored 100 free kicks. But Seb Larsson. Do you remember Seb Larsson?
Seb Larsson. Well, you fancy him over the ball from 20 yards out. Yeah, but he didn't score as many as we thought either.
I bet not.
Danny Ings' first goal.
Lovely.
It's. I didn't really appreciate it that much when I saw it first time, but when you see it again, it's like, you know what? Yeah, you've got some good toes, Danny Ings, mate. And can you imagine if he was super fit? He would never have had. He never would be there right now. He'd still be at Liverpool right now if he was fit because Jurgen Klopp really liked him, and he was devastated to let him go. And it's well documented. So. If anyone wants to F and Jeff and moan at me for that, then crack on. It's like, we've got Bobby Firmino. We don't need Danny Ings. Well, you could have had him as well. And I think I'd rather have him than Origi in my team. Look how many goals this guy's scoring for a side that, when Southampton weren't doing very well, look how many goals he was scoring then. And now they're doing better, and he still finds himself on the score sheet.
Yeah. There we go. There's another John Arnorisa. We've a comment from Sean again. About how he was the same.
John Arisa, yeah, he didn't really.
Can I just give a shout out to Adam, the Greek Carlisle, the long-time viewers will not recognise him. Came up with a great nickname for him, Danny Pings. I really enjoyed Pings. I really like that nickname. That was. Can we get that one started? Can we get that trending? What do you think?
Let's get that trending. Let's get it moving. He scored another one that was a real poor mistake. From Ben Foster there. It was a terrible throw that I don't know who he was trying to look for, and Danny Ings just picked it out of the air. Was like, I'm having that. And yeah, Watford did bring one back. Ben Rekhome goal. I think they thought that things were about to pop off, but they didn't. With a free kick, yeah. Watford. They've only drawn one game and they've lost all the other games now. It looks like we've said that Watford need to put their ideas up, or at the moment, what's happening is that I don't think any of the bottom teams have won a game yet, have they? No.
So
Brighton.
Okay, yeah. So
if you want to class Brighton, they were in a relegation battle. No, they were in the separate league.
I'm talking Bournemouth, West Ham, Villa, Watford, Norwich. Those teams, I don't think they've won a game since
none of them won a game.
I mean, I tell you what, I imagine that they've got games against each other coming up.
Yes, they have.
Those are going to decide it. Those games will decide it because if they're not picking up points elsewhere, it's going to be those games that are going to decide who goes up and who stays up and who goes down.
Now, there's some big games happening during the week, but before we go there, we're just going to get up the table and see how we are right now after those Premier League games before we talk about what's happening during the week. So yeah, as mentioned, Norwich they're still knocking around down the bottom there. They haven't got any points since the restart, and they've got a game in hand on Aston Villa, but they are still 6 points from safety. Aston Villa, Bournemouth, and West Ham all on 27 points. West Ham just hanging around just outside the relegation zone on goal difference. Watford, they're on 28 points. They really could have done with a win today. That would have pulled them away for a little while. And Brighton, they're heading off now. They're on 33 points. Now, even though Brighton have got 7 games left, I feel that 33 points, they only need
one win.
1 win.
4 points, maybe?
Maximum 4 points. They're set. I can't see the other teams picking up that many points.
Well, as I say, they're not. The other team's not winning games. Usually, a team would get a result against a mid-table side, and then they'll be like, right, okay, that'll give us a bit of confidence. Then they'll pick up a point. So that's 4 points. That makes a lot of difference. And then they'll win a game against teams around there. And there's your 7 points you were looking for, and you're safe. But at the moment, none of those teams look like they're going to win a game. I mean, no. Norwich, I know. They go to Arsenal, don't they, on Wednesday? I know we've got that too.
Might pick up a point in that. You know,
they might pick up a point, but Arsenal now won their last 2 games. And this is going to be Arsenal's first game at home since the restart. They've played 4 away games in a row, haven't they, since since it's come back? So being in home territory after a couple of wins might give them a little bit of an extra boost there. But I can't see a win coming from any of those bottom teams unless they play against each other.
I think when they play against each other, I can only see them drawing. I can see that happening. Tomorrow is Crystal Palace versus Burnley. Both of those teams, could hang around near the European spots, European place. Might be able to pick a Europa League spot in 8th place this year because of what's happening to Man City for one, and what's happening with the teams in the FA Cup. If Arsenal don't win it, that will go to 8th spot.
Yeah, well, depending if all the other teams finish in the Champions League spots,
the Champions League, Europa League spots, they're all going to finish there. Look who's left. So that's what's happening there. And I can't see Arsenal win. They've got Man City. God's sake. That's going to be tomorrow. Crystal Palace versus Burnley on Amazon Prime. Ooh, but it's free to wear on Amazon Prime as well. So I don't think you need to have Amazon Prime in order to watch it.
I'm sure if you go on the website, it will tell you how to be able to.
There's ways. There's always ways. That's got a draw written all over for me, though.
Yeah, I mean both managers like to keep their teams tight. Palace
don't score many goals.
Palace don't score many goals. And again, it depends on if Wilfried Zaha is back. If Wilfried Zaha is not back, then Palace's cutting edge is, it's a blunt knife then, really, isn't it? I mean, what was the stat that they came out of the Liverpool game when they got battered? Was it 4-0 the other day? They didn't. I think it was the first time since the stats have been going. They had no touches in the opposition box the whole game.
0.
Yeah.
That's bad. Tuesday night, we've got Brighton versus Man United. That is on Sky Sports, I believe, on Tuesday night, 8:15 kickoff. Brighton, Man United will go back. They will revert back to their side that beat Sheffield United. They made 8 changes for their game at the week. This weekend.
Yeah, so, Pogba coming back in, Matic back in. Lindelof will probably come back in. Wan-Bissaka. They'll win that game. I fancy Manchester United to win that game.
Yeah, I mean, Brighton will feel buoyed after the Arsenal was far goal trying to get something there. So might win for me. But Wednesday nights, as mentioned before, it's the first game at home for Arsenal since the restart. I can see a comfortable Arsenal win from that one, but this is Arsenal, so
And since you come back, I think every game I've predicted I've got wrong. So I'm not going to put a prediction out for this one.
All right, 4-0 Norwich. There you go, 4-0 Norwich. I'm sure that will get the tongues wagging. Then what else we got on Wednesday? We've got Bournemouth versus Newcastle. This is a big game for Bournemouth. They really need to pick up points. The Matt Ritchie derby.
Yeah. That's a huge game for Bournemouth. Maybe more so, definitely more than it is for Newcastle. And Eddie Howe's got to get his players going for this one. He has to. They can't do a Bournemouth. When I say do a Bournemouth, as in be lackadaisical, because they've been very lackadaisical very recently. So they have to be on all cylinders for that game. They can't. If they want to stay up, they have to. They have to be.
They've got no choice on that one. On Thursday, we'll be back on the air at around lunchtime, and we'll be breaking down our favourite section of the show, What Are Everton? Because Everton have got Leicester on Wednesday. Now, this has got Leicester got an Everton win written all over me, for me, I should say, because of Leicester's form, and Everton are on the ascendancy, and they look a little bit better since we've got our new jingle. So, wait to see that happening. That game's on Sky Sports Action on Wednesday at 6 p.m.
Yeah, I agree. I can see an Everton winning that game.
Excuse me, we're not going to put scores on it. We're just going to leave it there and see what happens. And then the final game before we come back on the air on Thursday is the London derby at the London Stadium. West Ham United versus Chelsea. That is an 8:15 kickoff on Sky Sports Main Event on Wednesday evening. So, where West Ham picked up a very random 1-0 victory away to Chelsea earlier on this season. Alvin Martin, that's what I was trying to think of. Alvin Martin's son. Literally it popped into my head just then.
Was it David
Martin, yeah. He was in goal, yeah. And he kept a clean sheet on his debut. Remember, he cried in that. I got mad emotion watching that. I was like, man, he's made his debut in the Premier League at like 48 or however old you are. And against the Chelsea side, who were looking all right at the time as well, weren't they?
Yeah.
They've I can't see West Ham doing anything here.
Again. I can only see a Chelsea win here, and that just strikes the fact that West Ham will probably go and pick up a 2-0 victory or something. But yeah, Chelsea are. I think they're hitting their stride a bit now. Chelsea. I think they've been buoyed by the fact that these signings that they've had announced during the breakdown, the lockdown, whatever you want to call it, especially Timo Werner, I think it's just give the place a little bit of a lift. Players can see that he's going to come in, he's going to do well for them, and I can't see past Chelsea really. 2-0, I think, comfortable. I think Tammy Abraham might get back on the score sheet. On Thursday.
Someone like Tammy Abraham. Well, I love Issa Diop, but I can see him getting bullied a little bit by Tammy Abraham because he can be a bit of a brute when he's playing through the middle by himself. So I'll fancy Chelsea to win very, very comfortably here.
Yeah. Tammy Abraham is a bit of a physical specimen. Don't let the baby face put you off that. He's physically built to play in the Premier League. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, definitely. As I said, we'll be back on Thursday lunchtime. We'll be breaking down all these games that we just mentioned, and hopefully not wiping too many wounds off a Norwich victory at the Emirates. As you may have seen already, we're using StreamYard now, and StreamYard looks like it's pretty damn cool. And we're able to do things like this. So if you look down below, you can see all the comments, not the comments, the social media links, and get involved in the show as well. You're more than welcome to get involved in the show. Anyone who's watching, throw your £2 worth in. Any questions, any queries, we'll lob it on the screen. We've
also got the 5 midfield as well coming up on Thursday too. Don't forget about our top.
How can we forget about that? The adverts will be going out for that as of tomorrow. We will let you know what our subject is going to be, and then by all means throw your £2 worth in. What do you think of the order? And you'll be able to go back on YouTube, as I said, you can be able to see underneath Facebook, YouTube, Twitter and Instagram, it's all at 2 Up Top Football. So or as I discovered the other day, if you go onto Google and literally put in 2 Up Top, we're the first hit.
We're making waves.
We made it.
We're making waves.
Making waves, mate. But for myself, Gav Mack, and my boy there, Alex Osborn, thank you. And ta-ra.